Hello everyone, welcome to the third part of our 1.4 team building guide, and this one is we're going to go over local 1. We're going over local 1 the third. Why? Because, I don't know, you guys wanted it in this order for some reason, so I'm just going to go with it. In hindsight, I probably should have just done it, like, numerically, but oh well. Let's get on with it. So, local 1 is probably one of the best locals in the game right now. It is for sure one of the best end game locals. The only problem with it is it has a bit of trouble early game, but when you do get into the end game, it is probably the best local at the moment. It is the best day local for sure. It's not that great of a night local, but it still has a lot of things going for it in the night as well. So overall, it's a really, really great local. If you live in local 1, consider yourself really lucky. You're not in local 3 or even in the other two locals, which are really, really good at the moment as well. But local 1 just kind of edges both of them out a bit due to the very important ingredients that they have, like Cyno, Kensho, Dilo. These are all great end game ingredients. Euphalocephalus is also good to have as well as a common. And yeah, let's get into this then. So, first let's go over all the global spawns and local 1 spawns again, just real fast. Let's get to it. So, from left to right, so the day global spawns are Apatosaurus, Monolophosaurus Gen 2, Apatosuchus, Amargasaurus, Triceratops, Rex, Gen 1, the epic one. And then we got the Dawn Dusk exclusive, well, not super exclusive, but you know, mostly Dawn Dusk, Draco Gen 2. And then moving on to Night Dawn Dusk, we have Anki Gen 2, Ophiuchodon, Velociraptor, Tumidactylus, Caprisuchus, Baryonyx, Brachiosaurus. And then anytimes we have Stegosaurus, Dimensionodon Gen 2, Hatchiopteryx, Nodosaurus, Ankylodon, Utahraptor, Nodopatosaurus, and Amargacephalus. And then for local 1 spawns, the Day Dawn Dusk ones, we have Euphalocephalus, Dilophosaurus, Kentrosaurus, and anytime we have Lythronax. We got Edmontosaurus, Majundasuchus, Megalosaurus, Persaurus Gen 2, Concavinator, sorry, Postmetrodon, Sinoceratops, and then Charlie. So overall, local 1 looks really great. We don't have a lot of good early game dinos, like the rares that they have. Mega, Edmonto, and Dilophosaurus, to be honest, aren't really great. Even their epics, Kentro's is fine, but compared to like all the other locals, where like local 2 has a Rano, Pyro, local 4 has Raja, local 3 has Erliko, Mono. Those are all great standalone epics. Local 1 is kind of just they don't have the greatest standalone epics, rares, or even commons, and you'll see that really fast as we start this thing. Let's go over the commons first. So starting off the game, you'll, as usual, pick 1 of 3 dinos, either Ionosaurus, Velociraptor, or Majungasaurus, something like that. Obviously, Velociraptor is your pick here. It doesn't really matter too much, and if you do have time hunting at night, try to hunt some Velociraptors. They are really useful hybrid ingredients, and they're not bad for early game, for a standalone early game dino. And then moving on to the anytime global commons, we have Stegosaurus and Dimetrodon Gen 2. One is a decent early game like utility tank, and then the next one is an immune rampage user, which is great. And next, let's go to the night commons. The only one, well, there's 2, but Ophiuchodon isn't that great. But then again, local 1 doesn't have any other better commons, so we're gonna put Ophiuchodon in there, and also Anki Gen 2 just as a just as an armor tank. You just throw that in. And then moving on to the day commons, day global commons, we have Apatosaurus. The other one isn't that useful. Mono Gen 2. Apatosaurus is okay. It has a lot of health. It has speed control. It has, not much. It's a common. Okay, moving on to your local 1 commons. Local 1 commons are really not great. Euphalocephalus is okay. It's actually one of the better commons, Euphocephalus. But then Lythronax and Persource Gen 2 aren't that great, but Lythronax does have a long protection with counter. And if people aren't using armor tanks that early in the game, it does do quite well. So Lythronax is okay to put in there. And that is, of course, an anytime local 1 spawn. Alright, moving on, after a bit you'll probably start getting some rares. And one of the first rares you would want on your team is Notosaurus. This is a really great upgrade from Ankylosaurus Gen 2 or Euphalocephalus. I personally would take out Ankylosaurus Gen 2, since, you know, Euphalocephalus, you have to still level it anyways, and Anky Gen 2, it's just there. I guess you still have to level it up a bit for Ankylodon later, but, you know, I personally prefer Euphalocephalus over Anky Gen 2, and if you prefer it the other way, then you could take out Euphalocephalus. It doesn't matter too much. Notosaurus is a great rare. And then moving on, let's take out something else for Utahraptor, which is also an anytime global rare. Utahraptor is fast, it does some damage. So let's just take out Opiacodon. Opiacodon here doesn't do much at all, and it's really just disappointing. So moving on, Apostasuchus. Apostasuchus is a great turn 1 damage dealer. As I've said time and time again, it is the highest turn 1 damage dealer in the whole game. And for that, we could take out probably Lythronax. Lythronax is, you know, its use is just to do a lot of damage. But then again, there are better dinos that could do that. And although Apostasuchus probably doesn't do as much turn 2 damage, but it does enough turn 1 damage to make up for it. And Lythronax just kind of falls off at this point. And moving on, next we'll have Triceratops, which is a global day spawn. Triceratops is a great control dino. It stuns and stuns and stuns and stuns. So let's take out Apatosaurus for that. Apatosaurus is not great at all. It has abysmally low damage, so that's not going to help us out too much. And Trike has decent HP and okay damage. It's just like its stats are all around kind of okay-ish. But then again, it also does its stunning thing, so let's throw that in if I can find it. Here it is. And then next, let's go to the night global spawns. And one of the night rares that is really decent is Caprasuchus. Probably take out Dimension Gen 2 for Caprasuchus. Or even the other, you know, Euphalocephalus. You probably don't need 2 of these. Let's just keep Capro, or who was I going to take out? Dime Gen 2. Let's just keep that thing in there for a bit longer. And throwing Caprasuchus Gen 2, it's almost the same thing as Apostasuchus, except it does more turn 2 damage and less turn 1 damage, so, you know, you have that. Anyways, moving on, we'll go into some of the local rares. As I said before, the local rares in Local 1 aren't really that great standalone. They're really great hybrid materials, but by themselves, they're not the greatest rares when you consider the other locals. But some to look to throw in your team. I'd say Megalosaurus is okay. It does what Lythronax does, but way better. And we could probably take out Dimetrodon Gen 2 for that. Find Megalosaurus. And then Dilophosaurus. This one's a tricky one. You could put it in. You could, like, it does have great utility, and it has decent HP for what it does. Decent, okay-ish damage too. It's a distractor with a nullifying move. It has pretty interesting tech, I'd say. So if you do want to throw it in, you could throw it in. Probably for Velociraptor, unless Velociraptor is still useful for you at this stage. Because there is a certain point where Velociraptor is still useful. If not, maybe just take Triceratops out and throw in, where is it, Dilophosaurus. Okay, moving on. Let's go to the nighttime rare of Local 1, which is Charlie. Charlie is just a direct upgrade from Utah. Just better in Utah in every way. And yeah, it's just a better Utah. There's not too much about it. It's a better Utah. Same moves, better stats. Alright, next let's get into some of the rare hybrids. The first one you probably want to go for is Ankylocodon. That's Anki Gen 2 plus Ophiocodon. It's not too hard to get. It has immunity. It's an armored tank. It has shields. It has, armor piercing moves. It has speed control. It's just a great dino to have in general. So let's take out Stegosaurus for it. I don't know why Stegosaurus is still in here for some reason. It's not that great of a dino. But moving on, I don't think, just because of how limited Local 1 is, that's probably the only rare hybrid you're going to throw in here. But oh well, you'll just have to stick with it. And then let's move on to the epics. The first epic you're probably going to get, like all the other locals, is Rex. It's a daytime epic. It has the highest spawn rate of all the epics. So let's put Rex in there, take out Caprasuchus. Rex should be level 20 for me. Here it is. And then moving on to the nighttime global ones, these two are all great as well. We have Baryonyx, which could take out Megalosaurus. Baryonyx is just a Rex, but more riskier, high risk, high reward. And then Brachio's a good one to have too. You could probably take out Nodosaurus for Brachii. Really high health, has some armor too, decent damage, has Rampage, Superiority Strike, Bellow's meh, but the other moves are great. So moving on to the Local 1 epics. They're not that great, as I've said before, so and the one they're all usable, but they're just not that great. So Sinoceratops is a really good stun locker, I'd say. If you want to use that, probably take out Dilo for that. You probably don't want to level up Dilo too much, at least not over level 15. So let's throw in a Sinoceratops in there. Yeah. And then Kentro is a good one. Kentro has a counter. It doesn't have any armor though. It has a slowing move, has instant cripple, which works well with the counter, and I think it still has superiority strike, so that's great. At this point, I really don't see the use for Velociraptor anymore, so we could probably just take that thing out and throw in Kentrosaurus. Although these two have nothing in common almost. Moving on to Concavinator. Concavinator it's not great, but I'd say it still has more utility than Postosuchus. So let's take that one out and throw Concav in. It does have it does do what it does. It's like a minor Megalosuchus kinda, but not really. I don't know. Megalosuchus is kind of weird. The Concav is from the Impact line of the counter dinos. There's two different lines from the counter dinos. If you don't know, you have the Raja line and the Concav line, so they're not the same line. People always think, oh, they're all counter, so they're supposed to be in the same line. They're not in the same line. But anyways, you could put Concav in there. There's no problem with that. And moving on to some epic hybrids, this is where you'll start. Local 1 will start getting a bit catching up to the other locals. And the first one we're going to go for is Stegoceratops. It's a really good epic hybrid. It does damage, it tanks, kinda. It's as okay-ish speed. Okay, it's not really good. But anyways, oops, sorry for the pop mic. It got a speed nerf recently, but it still has slowing, which helps the speed deficit. So let's throw that thing in for Sinoceratops. That just shows you how Sinoceratops does a lot of stunning, but other than that, it doesn't do much. Doesn't have damage, doesn't have, it just gets wrecked easily. So let's take out Sinoceratops for that. And moving on, Notopato is a great tank to have. Obviously, let's take out Ankylocodon for Notopatosaurus. It has higher HP, better damage, moves as a counter. And that's that. And you need Notopato for a lot of things. Well, not a lot of things, mainly one thing later in the game. So you have to get it anyways. So let's put that in. One of the epic hybrids for Local 1 is Amargocephalus. That's just Amargo plus Euphocephalus. It's a decent utility tank, I guess. It does some cool stuff. It is armor heavy, not HP heavy. But by the way, Amargocephalus used to be absolutely overpowered. back in beta, but it got nerfed pretty bad. But it's still great. I will take Concave out. Concave isn't that great of a dino, to be honest. So let's just throw a Mark F in there. And another one that you want to get, which is kind of out zone. The other component isn't in local one, but you kind of want to get this thing because it just helps your team so much, and you'll need it later for another dino that local one uses quite frequently, which is Megalosuchus. So go ahead and get some Gorgo from local 3 and make that Gorgosuchus, and take out Baryonyx for Gorgosuchus. It's a decent tank buster. Recently got a bit of a nerf, but that's not too big of a deal. So alright, that's that. Moving on to legendaries. Your first legendary, like most other people, is probably going to be Stegodius. Stegodius is one of the best dinos in the game. Let's just take out Notapatosaurus for that. It's just in every way better than Notapatosaurus. And then moving on, we got Indominus Rex. It's also not hard to get. By this time, Charlie doesn't do too much. Let's just take that thing out for Indominus Rex. And then the next legendary you're probably going to get is Trachodistus. That's just a Margocephalus, which is a local 1 friendly epic hybrid. And you just need to get some Parasaur from local 4, and you'll have Trachodistus. It's a great utility tank. It's probably one of the best ones in the game. It does a lot of great stuff. Has long invincibility. That's a great move. Greater stunning strike. That's a great move as well. As rampage, as counter, as purity strike. As just one of the best move sets. Has really decent stats too. Recently got a buff in HP as well, so that's great. Utah Sino is another legendary that is from local 1, and it's made from a Sinoceratops and Utah Raptor, so that's not super hard to get if you're in local 1. It's recently got a buff. It's pretty great at the moment, so let's just take out Kentrosaurus for that. Not that these two are in any way similar. Kentrosaurus kind of falls off at that point. And then the next one you want to get is Alicino, because since we're on the topic of the Sino hybrids, let's throw in Alicino. You could take out T-Rex for that, and I personally haven't created Alicino yet, so I'm just going to put in Allosaurus instead, just for a placeholder. Alright, that's Alicino now. Anyways, moving on. One dino you would want to get, half of it is out of zone. It's Diloranosaurus. It's Dilophosaurus plus Tyrannosaurus. Take out Brachy for that. You'll need to go to local 2 for that. It is the best moveset in the game. It recently got a damage nerf, but it is still great. It's still a great dino to have. And moving on, another local 2 dino is Megalosuchus. You'll probably just take Gorgosuchus out for Megalosuchus. Gorgosuchus is a decent tank buster, but you already have another decent tank buster on your team, so it shouldn't be that difficult for you, like, unless you don't get Alicino, or even Indominus Rex could do a lot of tank busting as long as you don't face higher level Stegodius like other tanks. It does great against, and also just Stegodius kills tanks as well as a tank, so you don't have to worry too much about that. But Megalosuchus is a great Indominus counter. It's probably the best Indominus counter in the game at this point. You'll be seeing a lot of Indominus, and it'll be kind of frustrating when you're down to that coin flip, and you don't want to play the coin flip. You just want to go for that 100% victory, so you could just put in Megalosuchus then. Alright, moving on. Another great legendary to have, especially if you're in local 1, is Ankentrosaurus. Got Stegoceratops or Ankentrosaurus, you'll have to go to local 4 for some Anki and able to create this thing, but this is a really great dino, and you'll need it later on in the game as well. Okay, so getting into some uniques. The first unique you'll get is Indoraptor. It's one of the best dinos in the game. Just have to throw this in. So, I just take out probably Megalosuchus for Indoraptor, but you could also take out Indominus Rex for Indoraptors, and you're probably not going to level up Indominus Rex over level 20, and you could probably level up Megalosuchus over level 20 if you really want to. So that's one problem there. So you could do that. Another one is Trichosaurus. Trichosaurus is just Ankentrosaurus plus Rex. Rex isn't the hardest to find. Just eat up a lot of Rex, though. So be careful of that. Might slow down your Indoraptor progression a bit, but it shouldn't be that bad. And then moving on, let's throw in the Utahranax, probably one of the best spot dinos in the game at the moment. Utahranax is just an all-around great dino. Just throw that in for Utah Sinoraptor. It's just a way better Utah Sinoraptor. It has way more HP. It has a Rampage on turn 1. It has an impact and run instead of something that's not that useful, which is critical impact. And but anyways, moving on, the last dino that you probably do want to have on your team is Dilorokairis. It's a straight upgrade from the Diloranosaurus. 129 speed is extremely useful and extremely important in this meta at the moment. So yeah, it's another one of the best dinos in the game. As one of the best movesets in the game. It has really great stats. It does have it is a bit low on HP, but it does have it distracting on turn 1, so that's no problem at all. It also has cleansing, so you don't have to worry about being distracted or whatever. So there's that. And this should be a decent endgame team if you're in local 1, but if you do have the effort to get some more dinos, some out of zone dinos, or even out of, all of the out of map dinos. I'm just trying to refer to Monomimus and Magna here. If you do have the effort and you do have the resources to create Magna, Magna is a really great tank buster. It's immunity. It also has a null move. It's just all around a great dino. Although 128 speed kind of hurts it a bit now, since we have more 129 dinos, Puritator 129, Dilorokairis 129, but it still does its job on Tsukas. We also see a bit more of that dino being played, and also Monomimus, which is another dino I'd suggest you throw in there. Monomimus, 129 speed, has distracting impact, has a null move, has evasive. It has nothing for HP, unfortunately, but other than that, it does okay against what it's supposed to kill, which are the 128 speed dinos. And then another one that you might want in there if you don't think 3 tank busters are enough, or even 4 if you put in Magna, is Triostronix. Triostronix is also a great dino. It does a lot of what Magna does, but Triostronix is basically a bit slower of a Magna, but it has more it's a bit tankier but slower than Magna, which makes it a better late game immunity tank buster than Magna, which is a mid game tank buster. Are there any early game tank? Oh yeah, there is one in the Raptor. Oops, forgot about that one. And if you do have the resources, you could probably use Alan Kylo too. You could throw that in for Trigodistus. And the 3 dinos I just mentioned above can replace Megalosuchus or even Alicino or Trico. It depends on what kind of tank busting you think you need. But other than that, I think there's one more dino I did want to mention, or probably not. Any of these? No. Okay, never mind then. Well, that's it for Local 1. It's probably one of the best locals in the game at the moment. It has, great stuff. Everyone kind of envies what Local 1. Oh yeah, one more thing I did want to mention is, if you have Trichosaurus at level 30, first of all, I don't know why you're watching my video if you have the level 30 Trichosaurus, but anyways, if you do have level 30 Trichosaurus, you could invest into Ankhentrosaurus. Ankhentrosaurus by itself is a really, really great tank. If you could bring it up and probably replace Trigodistus, it's really great. Unfortunately, I can't level this thing up because I gotta pour resources in Trichosaurus. But if I do have the resources if I ever do have the resources, I'll throw in Ankhentrosaurus. It's a great control tank. I like it a lot. But anyways, that's it for part 3 of the team building, guys. This is Local 1 in part 3. But I hope this in any way helped you a bit. And if you're new and you do feel like my content is kind of helpful and sometimes entertaining, sometimes really boring like this one, I even almost fell asleep. No, I'm just kidding. But if you're new, please consider subscribing. I do a lot of Jurassic World live stuff, and I stream from time to time. Probably gonna stream today, maybe later today. who knows? It's raining outside, so I can't go hunt for a dino, so I'm probably gonna stream or whatever. But anyways, if you do find this video helpful, leave a like. That would be greatly appreciated. And you don't even have to comment this time for which local is next, because there's only one more left, and it is local to the most interesting local, I'd say. I mean, all the other locals are quite obvious. Local 4 is a great early game local with really great end game potentials. Local 1 isn't that great for early game, but one of the best end game locals. Local 3 is just, okay, I was just about to say bad all around, but it does have some decent early game stuff. It is not an end game local by any stretch of the imagination. And local 2 has a kind of weird identity, so let's talk about that next time tomorrow in the final team building guide, and I'll see you guys later.